Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another live check-in here. I am 56 hours into this week's fast, heading to 72. That's right, 72. And we are excited to be in the process of reversing diabetes and improving our metabolic health. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. And right now, as I said, I'm 56 hours into a 72-hour fast. And this is where the real depth begins. This is not surface. Yeah, no. This is real metabolic change. This is full-on hormonal healing. But tonight, we're not just talking about fasting. We are talking about what happens in between fasting, right? Between those times. Last night we introduced Balanced Bites, or a couple of nights ago, the fourth pillar of the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. And as the answer to the question, what do I eat when I'm not fasting? We talked about that last night. And tonight, I want to show you exactly why that matters. Because when you pair fasting with strategic fueling of your body, you don't just maintain progress, you multiply it. So let's go ahead. Let's get to talking about the eating window. Let's talk about your metabolism, and let's talk about how Balanced Bites keeps the fire burning even when the fast is paused. Hey. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music to let you know that I am excited that you are here. Whatever platform you're joining us from, LinkedIn, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. Thank you for coming through. We'll take a look at my numbers here in just a minute because I've got my monitors off to the side. All right, I've got my monitors off to the side, and I've got my my ketone meter, and I've got my contour. And off to the side, I've got, or down below me, that is, I've got my Dexcom Clarity Report, which we'll take a look at here in just a minute. As soon as I do one thing here, really quickly, and we'll get to take a look at that. But my Dexcom Clarity report is going to show what's been going on over the last several days. If you've been following us, you know that we show that each time so that we could see what's been happening since my fast, since I broke the fast last week. It's been now probably almost 6 days. Yeah, 6 days since we broke the fast, and we'll take a look and see what those numbers are showing. Okay, and there it is. Here we are. Okay, so that is our report that we'll take a look at. And as I mentioned, I've got my Dexcom Clarity down below, and I've got my Keto Mojo and my Contour meters right here next to me. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. Let me pull up my Dexcom, and right now my Dexcom says that my blood sugar is 78. You'll see that up here, right about there, and then down below, right about here, you'll see that is my that's the tracing of my blood sugar. Let me see. Let's pull up. I'm not sure what's going on with my Freestyle Libre. Looks like it lost signals, but we'll come back to that as that comes up. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at these blood sugars. So starting from last night, so 24 hours ago, all right, so 50, this is now where I am, so 76 or 77, and you'll see that I remained 70s and 80s, and right here as I got to the morning, right around 6 o'clock, and I call that the toothpaste effect. The toothpaste effect, right? So you'll see, brush my teeth, and that spiked up. Let's see, how high did it go this morning? Got up to about 109, right? So I was down here in the 80s, spiked up to 109, and then continued going through the rest of the day down into the 90s, into the 80s, and then, of course, where I am right now into the 70s. Okay, so 78. Let me see if the Libre has come up. I'm not sure what's going on with it. while we look at the others, we'll go ahead and I'm going to restart that app while I do that. Okay, and so let's go ahead and I'm going to grab here's my Keto Mojo, here's my contour, and let's get a test strip. And you guys will notice that I'm back to the old ones because I had a bunch of these left over. We'll see what those are. And a Lancet. And then of course here getting a strip for the contour. Alright, so get that into the contour meter. What do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? So it's now a little over 56 hours in this week's fast. 56 hours. What do you think ketones are going to be? Alright, drop that in the comments. Go ahead and get this in. And here is my Lancet. Let's get this one off. Alright, so you see that there. And boom. Get a finger and let's pop that in. Ah, that hurt. As soon as I put that in, ow, 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 ow. Actually, I did not put that in far enough because that one. Alright, but I think I got a good drop. Let's see if that'll work. Wow, that one really was sharp. Okay, so here is the contour. All right, so 62 is what the Keto Mojo says my blood sugar is, and I'm going to pull up the Dexcom right there. 73 is what the contour says I am, and you'll see right there that is the Dexcom. So I'm going to go ahead and get a strip in for my ketones. So go ahead and drop in. What do you think it's going to be? Let's see if I get a good drop. Yeah, I think I did. There we are. Awesome. Okay, and I see some people starting to guess. I see a 1.7 in there. All right, let's see. And drum roll, please. Drum roll. And, oh, wow. 0.1. Okay, so I'm going to get the other strips. You guys remember this is that batch that we were having trouble with several weeks ago. So I had some left over, which is what I'm using. So I'm going to have to go and get the new sets because that doesn't follow. Okay? All right, so now let me go ahead and let's hop over and look at blood sugars on my meter. And so here is what my Dexcom Clarity Report says. My average blood sugar right now is 112 with a glucose management indicator of 6.0. So if I were to get an A1C, that's what it would approximate. And I'm in target 99% of the time, target being between 70 to 180, right there. And if I go to a 90-day average, see my average blood sugar there for 90 days, 111, with glucose management indicator being 6.0, in target 95%, and target being, once again, 70 to 180. If I look at the actual report, and take a look at what my blood sugars have been, you'll see here, and this is what we just saw on the meter itself, in the continuous glucose monitor, I guess I should say, where I'm 70s, 80s, spiked up right around there to 109, I think was the highest that we saw. This is what I call the toothpaste effect. And then going back further into last night, and look at that. I get excited when I see those numbers, right? So 70s and 80s for the whole time. 70s, 80s, 90s, once again, toothpaste effect. And this is the benefit of fasting, right? So all that you're seeing, and so this was right after I started my fast. So I ate my last meal right around here, and we saw a spike up to about 112 maybe. 118. and then it kind of levels out. So if I take a look at the last 2 days fasting, right, my blood sugars have been in the 80s and 90s for most of the time, other than, right here. So every morning we get that toothpaste thing. And right after I started the fast, the last meal that I ate, which is the benefit, and we've talked about the foods that we're eating, how to eat in a way that maintains glycemic balance, right? So we don't want a lot of fluctuations. We have some community members who are actually always, I shouldn't say always because I can't ever say always, but they are in ketosis most of the time because in their eating window, they're eating a meal that maintains that ketosis. Now, between my meals, I don't do like a ketogenic diet. I do a 1 meal a day, but you can still eat meals, and that's the whole idea of balanced bites, that don't cause significant spikes in blood sugars. And that's what you're seeing here. The things that I've eaten, the things that I ate when I started the fast, and you'll see when I broke the fast tomorrow, or when I break the fast tomorrow, you'll see as we get into the next week what that number is. Awesome. All right, so now let's go and let's say hello. Well, before I do that, let me do a quick check-in because I want to let you know how I'm doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Those are the areas that we talk about. So let's go ahead and let's do that now. And just kind of set the tone for where we are. When we're fasting, there are lots of things that are going on. Hormonal, emotional, physical changes that are happening. And so as you are going through the fast, you want to make sure that you are checking yourself to see, okay, how is my body responding to this? Am I in the right mental space? Emotionally, how am I doing? All of those are important because they help us to make sure that we are doing well and we're staying safe. Okay? So in terms of check-in, how am I doing physically? I am well rested. I've been doing a good job of resting this week because it's been one of those weeks, and I anticipated that it was going to be a hectic week because we got a lot of things happening. I anticipated that this was going to be a little bit more, and I don't want to say stressful, but a little bit, so more activity happening. And so I am preparing and doing lots of things. And so the tendency is to allow those things to cause heightened stress. And so what I did this week was I was deliberately mindful of how I personally respond during certain times. And so I was able to put some things in place that helped me walk through the process so that it did not derail me from my fasting. Remember, habits, emotions, access, and taste, all of those right there can push us. And so physically right now, I'm rested. I'm not feeling lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty. I'm not feeling palpitations. I've been doing a good job of hydration as well. One thing that I do want to say physically is that earlier today, I felt a little nauseated. I was at work and my team went to lunch, and we have a break room, and of course people warm their foods up, or they go down and they get food, they bring it back. And when they were warming their food up, I smelt it and immediately felt a wave of nausea. And I think what happens in those cases is remember, our food experience is not just us eating the food, right? So when we have smells, when we have sights, our bodies respond to that. And sometimes the body responds by producing stomach acid in preparation for food, or saliva. So I think when I smelled it, it triggered something in me, and I got this wave of nausea. In fact, I don't know if you joined us today when I was doing the check-in about fasting. It was actually during, a little bit before that, and even during, as I'm doing that. If you watch the video closely, there's a pause that I make because I'm in the process of talking, and that wave comes up, right? And I had to kind of push that down. So physically, that was the only thing that happened this week. And as I said, I think what I did was I got something to drink. It kind of resolved. And tonight I was taping one of our episodes for Strength, Strategy, and Mindset. And the same thing happened. This time I didn't smell anything. And I just went and I got something to drink, and that kind of relieved it. So that's actually something that we'll probably do a show about sometime, how different things that happens in our bodies as we see, hear, smell food, there are changes that happen. Okay, so that's how physically. So mentally, I am this week feeling pretty sharp. I'm feeling, because I've been resting and because I have things that are going, my mind is going, and there's a lot of connections that are being made right now because I'm in the fast. And as I mentioned before, if you want to get some supercharged benefits, right, in terms of thought process, projects that you're doing, try to do those projects while you're fasting, and you will, it's amazing. All right, so that's mentally. And then, of course, emotionally, this I had to be careful of. One of the points I made during the check-in earlier today was that it is not just negative emotions that can cause us to be triggered, positive emotions as well. And so for me, this week has been a lot of positives going on, but because of the heightened emotions, that also, it can be a trigger. One of the things I've got to be careful of is as I get into the weekend, because I'm excited about the program I'm going to be doing, when I get through with that program, right, and as I mentioned to you all before, I get this supercharged, I don't know what it is, this energy that comes out, and it is pretty intense. And so following the program this weekend, I'm going to have to be mindful of how I'm responding, how my body's responding, and of course the emotions, right? So physically, mentally, and emotionally. Now let's go and let's say hello to some of our community members, and I see you guys out there. Let's pop over and let's see. And we see Pamela out there. Pamela is saying hello. Hey Pam, how are you? Well, let's go back. There we go, Pam. Cornelia say, hey, Dr. Wood and Limitless Living Gang. Hey, Cornelia, how are you doing? Hello again, Pam. Hey, Cornelia. Bowie saying, hi, Pam and Cornelia. Hey. Love everybody just saying hi to each other. Cornelia says, hi to Bowie. And Cornelia, you guessed 1.7. Yeah, that was I'm going to have to, I'm going to see if I can get someone to bring me some of the new strips. Pam is saying, hi to Bowie. I had a bit of a headache today and tried to drink pickle juice on my fast. It just made me think about Chick-fil-A. Okay. Sandwiches for the rest of the day. Oh, wow. Yeah. See, all this stuff, it's in our head. It's in our head. And so it happens. Steve says, my ketones were 3.4. They have been over 3 at least 36 hours. Is this okay? Yeah, because if you're fasting, it is what it is, right? So depending on how you went into the fast, Steve, the types of foods that you ate, remember that has a big effect on how quickly you get to the ketones and how high they go. Boy says, what's the top range for ketones? I don't know that I have a top range for ketones, but just that lower than 0.5 is normal, 0.5 to 1.5 normal, therapeutic, and nutritional, and then above 1.5 is therapeutic. So ketones can be very high, by the way, right? They can go significantly high. I don't have a top range. I think the highest that I've seen, well, I'm not even going to say because, yeah. So I don't have a top range for you, Bowie. Bowie says, hi, Steve. Cornelia says, hi, Steve. Hope 3.4 is okay. That is awesome, and it is. Hi, Bowie. Hello from Pamela to Steve. Bowie says, that's funny because I think you're talking about the Chick-fil-A. Hello, Cornelia and Pamela. I'm looking forward to when my blood sugar is consistently between 80s and 90s. Oh, yeah. It can happen. It will happen. As you say, it will. And that's the whole premise, right? That's the whole goal of what we're doing. Bowie says, trying to trick in the book to extend my fast as long as I can. Trying a trick in the book. Drinking hot water, chewing gum, brushing my teeth. Still think too much about food. Oh, yeah. So distraction, great. Distraction is great, and all the things that you're saying, drink, distraction, and putting stuff in your stomach and filling it up. What I would be interested in, Bowie, is not necessarily the distraction part, and that's great that you're doing that, but I would be interested in you kind of processing and say, okay, what is causing it? Right? What's causing the food noise? Right? Because something is causing the food noise. And so the distractions are great because they help us to kind of navigate through it. But a bigger question is going to be, what is causing the food noise? Because if I address that, then the distractions really become additional tools that we have access to. Okay? Cornelia says, I applaud you. I think she's talking to Steve. And Cornelia and Bowie probably for the things that she's doing to distract herself. Steve says, it's hard, Bowie. I had 2 spells of hunger during my 48-hour fast. I just had to fight through it. Once you overcome that, there is no hunger. Yeah, so the hunger is actually gone at 36 hours. The hunger, right? So physical hunger. Remember we did a show where we talked about physical and psychological hunger? So physical hunger is gone. And so what we're left with is psychological hunger, right? And so an interesting point, I guess, to make is that, well, let's see how to say this. So if I have someone who is, I don't know, BMI of 25, say 23, 24, BMI of 23, 24, that has minimal subcutaneous fat, that doesn't have a whole lot of visceral fat, then I can see that person getting easily into a hunger, right? Physical hunger. When we talk about psychological hunger, though, it is usually that there is something in our environment that's causing it. It is habits, emotions, access, and taste. And so if the physical hunger is gone by 24, 36, say 36 hours, right, at the most, it's gone to 36 hours, then beyond that, then we're talking about here. And so putting or finding out, trying to figure out what that is a good use of your time, right? Now I'm not saying to stop the distractions, because distractions are important. I love distractions. In fact, one of my distractions is what we do, right? The walking, the strength training. It is a distraction because it gets me doing things so that I'm not spending all my time thinking about food. So it is. But when I have that time where I'm constantly thinking about food, I've got to say, okay, what's going on and how do I navigate that? All right. So Boy says, I literally say to myself today, Steve and Cornelia did it. I can hold on for a few hours long. Look at that. What? Okay. You get a hand clap for that, for being able to connect to community, right? Even in your mind, even though you weren't talking to them. I love that. Love that. Steve says, it helps to know others are going through the same thing that you are. It sure does. Cornelia says, yes. Boy says, you're strong, Steve. I still haven't made it to 48 hours. Work in progress, Bowie. Work in progress. Steve says, Beth and I have been doing this for 14 months, so it's habit for us. Yeah. Rhythm, alignment, structure, right? We get into the habit of doing it, and then it becomes, it gets better. Awesome. Love it. All right, so let's go ahead and let's hop into our conversation as we talk about fasting and we talk about eating and what's going on with me right now in terms of our fast. So let's do that right now. All right, so in our last episode, we talked about Balance Bites as a jump starter of our metabolism during fasting. So what we said was fasting really kind of gets the body primed for the things that we're about to do as we get out of the fast and as we do a good job of now replenishing. All right, so we introduced that idea. Now remember, that's pillar 4, the Balance Bites of pillar 4 of the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. So right now I'm at 56 hours. So let's start there. So let's be clear. Let's get clear about where my body is and where your body is when you're at this type of fast, right? Insulin is gone. I shouldn't say gone. Insulin is low. It's at its lowest point, right? Because you've seen blood sugars, and the blood sugars are in the 70s, 80s right now, right? Nothing is coming in terms of calories. Blood sugars are continuing to go down, and the question is, where is the body getting that blood sugar from? Well, that's coming from fat. So insulin is at its lowest point. Ketones are fueling the brain, it's fueling our muscles, right? We are in that ketosis. Growth hormone is elevated. This is that protein sparing that we talk about. Autophagy is at its peak. Your body is clearing out damaged cells and is repairing. And most importantly, you're shifting from metabolic stress into metabolic clarity. When we talked about the fact that in the fast, when you first start fasting, your body actually goes into a adaptive stressful mode. So it says, hey, I'm not getting anything in, so I need to go ahead and burn as much of the sugar that's in my blood as possible, that postprandial period. And because of that, insulin level goes down. When insulin goes down, the body becomes it gets heightened in terms of, okay, I've got to start looking for food. Because remember, insulin is that storage hormone, and it signals that there's food around. Because if there's no food around, insulin is not there. So when insulin's going down, it signals the body, hey, I've got to start looking for food. So that's that initial stressful idea. One of the things that I've heard someone talk about is the fact that we talk about fasting as kind of a sluggish, we get tired and we get down. Well, one of the points that this person was making is that if you look at an animal that's hungry, right? A lion, a tiger, a bear, whatever. That lion is not sluggish, is it? No, it's not. It is actually, the hormones in that tiger, if you check it, they're heightened because it has to find food. And when we're fasting, we don't become sluggish. The hormone levels actually go up. And this is the stage where fasting becomes therapeutic, not just for weight loss, but for longevity and insulin resistance reversal, right? This is it. This is it right here. But here is what people miss. The benefit of this stage, it doesn't have to stop when you end the fast. Don't you hear me? So the benefit doesn't have to stop when you end the fast. Just like we have people who are saying, hey, I tried to extend the fast, or hey, when I end the fast, I'm eating in such a way that my ketones are still high. If you fuel wisely, then you stay in the rhythm of the metabolic benefit. So why is the eating window so important? Your body doesn't just change during the fast. It responds to every input that you give it. When we talk about food sends a signal, that means that the eating window isn't just the time when you stop fasting, it's when you start programming your metabolism. I want you to get that. So the questions become, what do you eat when you're not fasting, right? We talked about that a little bit. And what food keeps your insulin low, your hormones balanced, your energy steady? That's where Balance Bites comes in. It's not a diet. It's not a strict protocol. It's a framework. It's a system, a way of choosing food that supports fat burning, muscle building, and metabolic healing. We've kind of gone through the 7 pillars, right? Whole foods first. Whole foods. Let's talk a little bit more about that. So whole foods carry their nutrients in a matrix that the body recognizes. When you eat whole foods, eggs, salmon, spinach, sweet potatoes. Your body sees those and it absorbs them more slowly and uses them more efficiently than when we're using processed food. Because the point of processed foods is to, well, there's a lot of different points, right? So one is to extend the life. It's to make it taste better, make it more not palatable, make it taste good so that you have more. It is designed to give you a burst of energy, right? And so your body absorbs that faster. When you absorb that faster, then we get those spikes in blood sugars that we talk about. And that spike in blood sugar causes the insulin to go up. This prevents blood sugar spikes and helps keep insulin low when we eat whole foods. This means that you stay in a fat burning state even during the eating window. I want you to hold that last point. This means that you stay in fat burning when you eat whole foods. Your body doesn't absorb. Let's go back. Let's pick an example, right? And I use carbs, bread, a lot in my examples. So a cookie versus, let's say a regular slice of bread, right? So whole wheat bread, So cookie. So even in that case, when we eat the cookie, because of some of the processed things that are in it, right? The sugar, the flour is ground up just so. You have confectioner's sugar that's really, really sweet, or really processed sugar. And so when we eat that, the body absorbs, it sucks that up in such a quick way that the blood sugar spikes up right away. As opposed to something that is less processed that doesn't cause that big spike. So processed foods, they strip away fiber and they add inflammatory oils and sugars. Remember, there are pro-inflammatory things that we eat that cause our body to become insulin resistant. Because inflammation drives insulin resistance. So when we're processing food and they superheat it, right? They grind it up, or we grind it up, and maybe this is a good. Let me say it. So when we talk about whole foods, and I'm going to use another silly example. Okay, forgive me, but the example I'm going to use is a smoothie. And the reason I pick on the smoothie is because everybody looks at smoothies and they say smoothies are healthy. Now, smoothies are healthier than some of the other things that we drink. Okay? And if that's your only way of getting your vitamins in and your minerals in and your greens in, then more power to you, right? Because anything, listen, progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. But let's pick on the smoothie. So when you take a smoothie, when you take your vegetables and you take your fruits and you put it in, you blend it up. What you're doing is you're pulverizing those substances, that food. When you pulverize it, what you're doing is you're breaking the fiber. And we get the juice out and we get the pulp and we throw the pulp away. Well, in the pulp that you threw away is a lot of the fiber that comes from the food. And the fiber is important because the fiber helps to blunt the absorption of the stuff that's in the glass that you're about to drink. So think of the fiber kind of like a sieve, right? A strainer. And the juice that's in the food has to go through the strainer. And the strainer, the sieve, the pulp, the fiber, pulls out the sugar, so the sugar never passes through, or not that much, doesn't pass through, and it doesn't get absorbed in the body. So what we do when we are doing the smoothie is we actually take the filter away, and so all of the sugar that is in that substance gets absorbed. Does that make sense? Now think about that process supercharged when we process foods. So the foods that are on the shelf, right? That process, think of it on steroids. So the juice that you drink, right? They've done the same thing. They've pasteurized it, They've pulled out a lot of the fiber. They've reinserted certain substances to, right? Because when you heat it, the heating destroys some of the bonds. So even one meal with the processed can spike blood sugars for hours and undo the sensitivity that we worked to create during the fasting. So our fueling, the balanced bites, calls us to avoid that process. We don't just reset, we protect and we reset. Right? So no added sugars was the next one. So sugar is a metabolic disruptor. Well, let me back up and let me say it differently. So sugar, glucose is not bad. Too much sugar, too much glucose is bad. Here's an example. So your body, if I took all the sugar that's in your body when your blood sugar is about 100, then all that sugar, blood sugar of 100, if I dry it down, it would fit in 1 teaspoon. So 1 teaspoon of sugar is what the body has if your blood sugar is 100. 1 teaspoon. That's 4 grams. Got it so far? Awesome. So if I go and I grab anything off the counter, off the shelf, and I look at it, it will tell me how many carbs are in that food. And it also will tell me how much sugar has been added. So there are 2 lines there. One says total carbs and it says sugar added. And let's assume that the total carbs are 15 grams of carbohydrates. Say it's, I don't know, pick something. Say it's orange juice. So 15 grams of carbohydrates. And then that second line, sometimes it'll say 0 sugar added, but sometimes it'll say 4 grams. Right? 1 serving, a 4-ounce glass, 4 grams of added sugar. That means for in that glass, there is 1 teaspoon, 4 grams, like I said, 4 grams. So that 4 grams is equivalent to all the sugar that's in your body right now. So if we then go and we find something where it says, hey, we got 15 grams of added sugar, we're talking about 2 teaspoons of sugar. And some of our soft drinks, I'm not going to call a particular one, they have up to 10 to 17 teaspoons of sugar in them. And we already said that sugar is a disruptor of metabolism. So when insulin is high, fat burning shuts down. So when we finish our fast, fast is done. Okay, we did all the good stuff there. We in autophagy, we've got ketones, we burned some fat. Now we're in our eating window and we throw in added sugar. That added sugar is disrupting that process that we just spent a lot of time trying to fix or trying to create. So by skipping added sugar, you extend the healing window. I want you to get that. When you are minimizing the sugar, the added sugar, I'm not talking about the sugar that comes from the orange juice or the sugar that comes from the apple juice or the sugar that comes from the grapes or the apples, the natural stuff that's in there. I'm talking about added sugar. Now, we'll talk about the total number of carbs that we put in. That's a whole nother conversation. But the added sugar, when you're looking at a package, right, the added sugar is detrimental. So Balanced Bites keeps your insulin from rebounding and it supports continued ketone production between the fasts. No added sugar. And then, of course, we talked about lean protein and healthy fats. Protein is the architect of repair. It helps to build and preserve lean mass. Fat is the fuel that keeps energy stable and hormones balanced. When you combine the two, you activate muscle protein synthesis without glucose spikes. Do you know that hormones, a lot of the hormones are produced from fat. They come from cholesterol. Yes, it does. So the body takes cholesterol and it converts it into the hormones that are running around your blood. And so having healthy fats supercharges the process. You preserve your muscles without storing fat. And that's a major key to reversing diabetes and reversing insulin resistance. And then we talk about starchy and non-starchy vegetables. So fiber is the secret metabolic hero. It slows glucose absorption, which is what I was talking about when you do the smoothie. You pulverize that and that goes away. So we get super absorption of sugar. So fiber. It improves your gut health and it helps modulate hunger hormones like ghrelin and and GLP-1. In the whole balanced bites concept, we don't avoid carbs, we balance them. That means using things like sweet potatoes, lentils, squash, alongside broccoli, kale, greens. This keeps the gut fed, insulin, the curve is flatter, and energy is there. People say, well, why would you tell people to eat starchy vegetables? Well, because you need some variety. You need some fun, which we'll come to in just a minute. And then, of course, portions. During fasting, your hunger hormone becomes recalibrated so that when you're eating in your eating window, you don't sit down and eat a mountain of food anymore. Balanced Bites respects that recalibration. It doesn't overload the system. By eating slowly and stopping when we're satisfied, not when we're stuffed, we're avoiding the post-meal crashes. We're avoiding the bloating. We're avoiding the insulin surges. This pillar trains your nervous system to know I'm nourished. I'm not hungry. I can keep burning fat, not storing. And then make it enjoyable, right? This goes back to my point about the starchy vegetables. Sustainability matters. I'm pausing right there. In our strength, strategy, and mindset, this week we're focusing on this concept of building to last. In our community meetup just a couple hours ago, I talked about this idea of that we're not doing something for today or tomorrow or next week or just for 3 weeks. We are building the long term. And so there is a place for retraining our palates, and it, by the way, it takes 15 days to retrain our palates. There is a place for that because there are some things that you're like, oh, I don't like that. And if you try it, if you keep drinking, if you keep eating it, then your palate will switch. There is a place for that. But I've also had food that they say was healthy, and I thought to myself, wow. If you hate your meals, you won't last. The body responds to satisfaction through dopamine and serotonin. These are neurotransmitters that also influence insulin and cortisol. So Balanced Bite says, make the food, make the meal, make it work for your hormones and for your soul. We have incorporated food into so much. Now, some of it we probably should kind of deal with, but we connect over food. And so there is a place for tasty and flavorful. Season your food, please. Add herbs. Choose vibrant flavors. Because a nourished brain supports a healthy metabolism. And if you are not enjoying it, you're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. You're not going to do it for long. Okay? And then, so let's talk a little bit about another concept, the healing cycle. The healing cycle. So fasting plus fueling. So here's how the system works when you get it right. So fasting lowers insulin, it raises ketones, and it triggers repair, right? So autophagy and all that stuff. Balanced Bites keeps insulin low, keeps glucose stable, and it keeps satiety high. That is, I'm not hungry. Your metabolism doesn't just recover, it improves. And this is the rhythm. Fast, Eat balanced bites, repeat. You're not just swinging between extremes, you're flowing through phases, each one strengthening the other. So let's deepen that concept. Let's talk a little bit more about this metabolic loop by breaking it into 4 structural parts, right? The metabolic loop. So part one, the purpose of the loop. Most people treat fasting and eating like opposite forces. One heals and the other harms. But the metabolic loop says that eating becomes a strategy. It is a strategic continuation of healing, not a pause button. Oh, come on. A lot of times we see the eating as, oh yeah, I'm pausing my fasting. I'm getting off my fast. And even as we talk about it, right? So when I talk, what do I say? I'm going to break my fast. And sometimes we think of that as, okay, I'm getting back to regular life. Come on now. Come on. Yeah, that's what we say. But it's about establishing a biological rhythm where every phase, whether you're fasting or eating, serves a purpose and enhances the other. It's not a reset relapse. It's a reset reinforce system. Right? So 4 phases of the loop. Number 1, the reset phase. So fasting. Whatever the number of hours that you're fasting, right? So insulin drops, fat burns begins, glycogen depletes, ketones rise, autophagy and repair activate, hormones recalibrate, leptin, ghrelin, cortisol, growth hormone, all of those things are happening, right? So that's what's happening in the fasting. This is where you clear the clutter biochemically and behaviorally. Number 2, second phase, the precision phase. Balanced bites. This is not refeeding in the old sense of refeeding and re-eating, reward eating. This is precision fueling to extend the metabolic health, the healing, the fasting initiates. So no sugar, no added sugar. It prevents insulin spikes. High protein and healthy fats, satiety and muscle preservation. High fiber, low glycemic carbs. You get gut repair, you get hormonal stability. Whole foods reduces inflammation and it nourishes the mitochondria, those batteries. You're not just reloading the system, you're rebuilding it strategically. Think of this kind of like you have a house or you have a building and you go in and you gut it. And now you have a clean slate and you're going back in now and you're putting up walls and doors, you're moving things around. That's what's happening. So fasting guts the house and the balanced bite says, okay, now let's go in and let's do the things that we've got to do to make sure that the house is livable. And then the stability phase. So between meals, even when you're not fasting or eating, you're still in the loop. Glucose is stable. Ketones may persist in the background. And you've heard people say, I'm trying to maintain ketosis. You avoid snacking, grazing, metabolic noise. Come on. You feel balanced, not crashing. You're not getting these waves. You're not getting those cravings. This phase is where hormonal signals stay regular. No grazing, no mindless bites. We're talking balanced bites. Just clarity between choices. There is no physiologic reason for snacking. And then we get the reset phase. So we return to fasting. This is where the loop comes full circle. Your previous fueling sets up an easier fast. You re-enter ketosis more quickly. You experience fewer hunger cues and fewer cravings. Your blood sugar doesn't spike early in the fast. If balanced bites is clean, your next fast isn't a shock, it's a continuation. And this is how the metabolic loop, reverses insulin resistance and chronic disease. And that's the benefit of the combination. This is how we eat during our eating window, between eating even. This is how we correct. This is the concept of fasting that cleans it out and sets it up to be ready for when we now come and say, okay, we're putting some stuff in here that's going to help us continue to be successful. The Limitless Living Health Action Plan in action. How do we combine fasting with how we eat during our non-eating window? We'll come back and we'll talk more as we continue the process. You want to make sure that you are following and you're going through the process and you are looking, you're understanding how your body's working. We're coming back and we're doing more. We're looking at more concepts in this Limitless Living Health Action Plan. We'll see you at the next episode. All right. And so the metabolic loop is an amazing concept, right? So it reduces the meal frequency, it improves glucose uptake, it increases fat oxidation, it re-energizes cellular receptors. Just an amazing process. It trains your body to function on less insulin and respond more intelligently when insulin does show up. Love it. So that is the process. And as you are walking through, and as you're looking at the health action plan, as you're thinking about food, okay, once again, notice what I'm doing. I'm giving you the concepts. Sometimes people say, hey, can you give me a list? And we have lists that we can give, but I want you to understand what the food is doing, because then you don't have to rely on a list. You can look at a plate. You can look at a menu. You can go to a party. You can go to a function and look at what's there. And you now begin to say, okay, I'm going to have this, and this, because that's on my list. That's on my eating plan. That's part of my balanced bites. Your food choices become now filtered through balanced bites. I love it. All right, so that is the concept that I want you to begin incorporating. And remember, it's not a one-time thing. It is that we are building to last. Everything that we do is built on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. And the beauty of this is there are people that I talk to who've been diabetic for years. They've suffered from metabolic disease. They've had strokes and heart attacks and so forth. And one of the things that I continually hear is that I want to do better. I don't want to have a heart attack. I don't want to have another heart attack. I don't want to go on dialysis. I don't want to have problems with my eyes. But I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to begin. I don't know where to start. Everybody's saying so many different things. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to pause for a moment. Right? Cope. I want you to pause for a moment. And I want you to begin walking through the health action plan. It is simple. Deliberately, intentionally simple. Tier 1, walking and fasting. No outlay of money. No, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to join anything. At your house, walking and fasting. First steps. Begin doing that. The walking gives you a rhythm. It gets you into the habit. It gets you into the routine of, doing something that is beneficial for your health. The fasting, as we just said, it resets your body. It resets your hormones. It gets you used to the fact that you have to listen to your body. The body's giving us signals all the time. But we have gotten so removed from those signals that we don't recognize them anymore. Signals that we're full. Signals that a particular type of food is causing us distress. There are people who have some food intolerances, not allergies, right? Not anaphylactic allergies, but they'll eat something and they'll feel not well, right? And they're like, man, I just don't feel well, and they kind of move on and they get better. But what they don't realize is that every time they eat that thing, they feel this way. But they never make the connection. Or sometimes they make the connection kind of vaguely, and they're like, well, but I like this thing. Right? So listening to our body is very important. So people say, well, I don't know what to do. Here is a very streamlined, here's a very simple, here's a very practical, here's a very everyday thing that you can do: walking and fasting. Right? Tier 1. Tier 2 that we've added is the strength training, right? And I know some of you are like, oh my God, I don't want to get bulk up. We're not talking about bulking up. We're talking about getting metabolically active muscles. Because when your muscles are metabolically active, they burn calories, they burn sugar, they suck up nutrients. We get weight loss, we get insulin sensitivity, we get lower blood sugars, we get lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, lower fatty liver, lower complications when it comes to heart disease and strokes and all those things. Tier 2. Strength training. And then fueling the body again is what we're doing. That's what we're talking about right now. How you fuel the body is important. You don't have to jump right there, but start where you are. Start with tier 1, walking and fasting. Then move to tier 2, the strength training and how we eat. We'll continue walking down the path, but you already have a starting point. You can go to the channel in the, what's the playlist that I created? It's called 7 Steps to Naturally Reverse Diabetes, I think is what it's called. And the health action plan, the things that we've done so far, those pillars, the tiers are right there. Watch the video. We educate. And education is with the idea that if you know, if you learn, then you are able to do what you need to do. You get to make the choices. So nobody has to give you a list of foods. I can come up with the list myself because I know the rules. I understand how my body works. I understand that my body, and here's one, my body works differently from your body. So I'm going to tell you there's some things that you can eat that I can't eat because my blood sugars go out the roof. I've got to know that. And so when we are together, and this is the beauty of community, by the way, when we're together, I'm not judging what you eat because the stuff that's on your plate may not be the stuff that I can eat. Actually, may not be the stuff I like at all. But we got to learn that. That's a process. And so getting the rules, getting the checklist allows us to make the decisions for ourselves. So those people who say, that I was telling you about, who say, well, I don't know what to do, that's where we start. And I say to you, like I say to them, like I say to you all the time, I don't want you to fight food. Let me pause there. I don't want you to fight the food. What does that mean? That means that you're going to eat ice cream. You're going to eat cookies. You're going to eat cake. Yes, you are. We've already accepted that. And the question is not, are you going to eat it? Because we know you're going to eat it. The question is, why are you eating it? So what we do often is we come along and we find you and you're out there eating a cookie, candy, or cake, and we yank it away, say, stop eating that. And you know what happens when I walk away? You get another cookie. And if I stop you from eating all cookies, you know what happens? You find some cake. And when they take the cake away, you find ice cream. Because it's not a cookie, cake, and ice cream problem. The question is, why are you doing what you're doing? And that's the space that I want you to be in. Don't fight the food. Figure out why you're eating the food. And while you're doing that, health action plan. Start from the basics. And then we build on that. And as we build, as we grow, man, the benefits that you get are amazing. Okay? Now, one last thing let's do, and let's show you, let's do this one. And this is my weight. We'll come back to Triple E formula for a minute. This is my weight, one of the benefits, and we've been tracking this. And you see there, my weight is 187. And if I go back to trends, when I started the fast earlier this week, we were right there at 191, right? And so ended the fast last week and this week, right? Almost the same number, 187.5 and 187.6. Okay, so that's the week. You'll see that in the week, right, we went up to 191 point, I think, was that the highest? Yeah, 191.4. What was this one? Yeah, 191.4 was the highest that we went up to. And that's the benefit. That's the benefit. Did I say benefit? That's the benefit of fasting, metabolism. If I go to this graph, and this is, let's see, why is it not moving? Let's do that, yeah. So if I go to this graph, right, and show you, so that right there, look at that number, that's 260 pounds. That was the way I was, how many years ago? That was 3 years ago. And prior to that, 287 pounds. I don't have that graph on this, in this app. 287 pounds. And right now, 187.6. So 99.4 pounds later. And when I talk to people about metabolism, about weight, about blood pressure, about blood sugars, this is a process that when I was a kid, they used to take me to, when we used to buy clothes, they used to take me to the husky section. I didn't like the word husky. Do they still use husky? I think it's called big and tall or something. I don't know. Right, the husky section. So this is a process. This is a concept that I've had for a while. And then of course life happens and my weight shot up. As a matter of fact, I put on more weight in medical school than I did at any other time in my life. As a matter of fact, there's a physician here in town who several physicians here in town went to school with me, and there was one that we used to joke, right? And he used to say, hey, man, if we keep this up, right, we're gonna put on weight, and we did. 287 pounds. And so the writing of the metabolism, right, the concept is not okay, I woke up one day and man, magically this happens. No, this has been a struggle. Did I say struggle? This has been a struggle. This has been a fight. This has been full of shame and doubt and full of self-recriminations. This has been full of addiction. So I hear, I see, when people talk to me, sometimes it's all I can do to not in that moment just wrap my arms around them, because I feel the pain. I feel, because I was there. I was there. And so when we start talking about metabolism and start talking about the benefit of the things we're doing, this is a process that that comes from history, from trial and error, from learning, from reading, from seeing, from treating, over and over and over and over and over and over. Because I've seen it, and I continue to see it. And when you are here, right, back to our triple E formula for success, where we educate, we empower, we encourage. Our education is with the idea of changing mindsets. We can't keep treating metabolic diseases the way we are, because it's not working. Over 1 billion people on the planet right now who have diabetes or prediabetes. That number doesn't even include the high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, obese, strokes, cardiac problems. It doesn't include that number. This is just pre-diabetes and diabetes. 1 billion, that's billion with a B, people on the planet. So the way we're treating, the way we understand is not working. And it's not that we want to. But for a long time, we didn't understand because we're treating the wrong thing. We think it's a cookie problem. It's not a cookie problem. We think it's a sugar problem. It's not a sugar problem. The cookie comes from something. I keep going to the cookie because of something. I went to the store and I bought 26. I bought 26 Cadbury's for a reason. So you could steal the Cadbury's, but guess what? The store's still there. So the question is why? And the blood sugar problem, right? We see the problem. It's blood sugar. It's not a blood sugar problem. It's an insulin problem. Because insulin is what's causing the downstream issues. But if I concentrate on the Cadbury and I concentrate on the sugar, then I'm missing the opportunity to now get the thing right. And that's what we want to do. Education. We empower the walking that we're doing, the 100-day walk to consistency, the strength training, right? Strength, strategy, and mindset. The fasting that we're doing once a week, we go through a fast. The shows that we do where we're learning about balanced bites, where we're learning about how to eat, about how to construct a meal. All of that those are the tools that you get that you could then apply to try to practice the things that we're learning under education. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. I cannot tell you enough about the benefit of community. We all sometimes want to be loners. We can do it. And you may be able to do it for a while. But man, if you're in community, it is so amazing, the boost that you get. So we educate, we encourage, and we educate, we empower, and we encourage. So join the community. When you show up here, tell us your story. Like people are dropping in the chats right now. Tell us what's going on. Where are you? You're 48-hour fast, 24-hour fast. Hey, I just broke my fast. Oh my gosh, man, I struggled this week. That's the benefit of community. So that when you say something, you don't have to explain because we got it. Because we've been there. We probably just did it. The benefit of community. And then you now get to be a voice that says to somebody else, we don't have to keep doing it like we're doing it. There is a better way of doing that. And that is why I say to you, go on your journey. Do your thing. Get better. Heal. Recover. Become insulin sensitive. Lose weight. All those things. Because when other people see you, they're like, man, what did you do? You can say, hey, come, let me tell you about it. Be an ambassador for limitless living. So that nothing outside of us or nothing inside of us is going to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans to be successful. And that's why I love being in this community, being in this space with you. We'll come back. We'll do our check-in tomorrow as we do our complete review of fasting. You get to see what I'm going to break my meal with. or break my fast with as I get into the rest of the day. Come on and join us. Tomorrow we'll do that probably right around noon, 1 o'clock, because that'll be our 72-hour fast, breaking the fast. We'll talk more about balanced bites and the way we eat and the things that we eat and how that impacts our body. Saturday at 9 p.m. Central, we'll do video from the vault. Sunday morning, This Week in Review, and then we'll be right back here on Monday, 7 p.m. Central for Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue walking through the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Amazing blueprint process that helps us say, okay, what are the things that I can do, practically speaking, that will help me reverse my disease? Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. I want you to go out now and live a limitless life. We'll see you at the next check-in. We'll see you at the next episode, and we'll see you in the digital space. Good night, everybody.